But yeah, let's get right into the mutt, guys. You may have remembered a couple days ago. If you're a Vanguard subscriber, you were privy to this drama before Twitter was, because this clip got posted on Twitter yesterday. Essentially, a clip that we reacted to the day before. So, like I said, if you're a Vanguardian, then you already knew about this. But the masses found out yesterday that in Vaush's live stream, they got into the TYT versus Cenk Uygur drama versus TYT and a Kasparian. You guys remember all that stuff. Like I said, we talked about it. But the clip just hit Twitter of Kyle Kulinski, as it says here, essentially calling Jimmy a liar. Let's take a listen in case anyone's just tuning in that doesn't remember, because this is a very essential piece of the conversation and basically what Cenk blew up at. So yeah, let's take a listen here just in case anyone hasn't seen this yet.
In terms of Jimmy's politics, so what I've seen is there was a time when he would mostly criticize Democrats, and you got the sense it was from the left and it was to improve them. Then, over time, it slowly creeped up from like, okay, 70% of your commentary is going after the Democrats, 30% is going after the Republicans. Now it's like 80-20. Now it's like 90-10. And then it got to like 100% of the commentary is just like Democrats are bad. Now, if you have a platform, you have to realize, even if you think it's like, well, duh, the Republicans are bad, there might be some 14-year-old coming to your channel who doesn't think that's a duh, and all they see is you shitting on Democrats. And then you're sort of painting a misleading picture of the world. And then when it really got to a point where it was like, this is just sad now, is when the vaccine skepticism stuff started happening. That's when I saw the things on Twitter where it was like, here's his most recent however many videos, and like 60% of them or some shit were just like doubting the vaccine. And when I saw that, I was like, well, it's a good thing that all my ties are severed with everybody, because I do not want to be associated with that in any way, shape, or form. One of the things that is just inescapable is the shit that Sean caught Jimmy doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe you're right about how I'm like too kind in how I read people. But when I saw that, I was like, I cannot believe that Jimmy did this shit. No matter what interpretation you want to give of the situation, either, the idea that he himself, was the one who spliced up the article to change the literal meaning to the opposite of what it was, whether he did that or you believe the kinder interpretation that his producer did that and he just didn't read through the article and he goes out there and whichever interpretation you believe, either fucking way, totally inexcusable, completely inexcusable. There's just not even remotely a good argument for anti-vax shit. And so my tolerance for that is so thin. And so when I saw that thing, the Sean thing, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, man. You want to talk about you lost the plot. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
So yeah, there's the clip. What do you have to say, Zach?
We talked about this the other day, right? And I just have so many mixed emotions about this entire conversation, because one of the things that I think is really an interesting exercise to put yourself through as somebody who has opinions about a lot of these things in this space is to go ahead and listen to a conversation where you have to like really pick and choose what you agree with, and like forcing yourself to have that kind of like intellectual honesty to be able to, not make a villain of either of these characters, even though I agree with and disagree with them on a lot of different things that they're saying here. So I want to like quickly pick through this a little bit and just, say where I do really agree with Kyle here. Like, I definitely was not happy when I saw the Sean shit either. I thought that was extremely embarrassing. As I said, I do believe that he fired his producer, but my criticisms are, as an employer, you shouldn't be creating that kind of a work environment, especially somebody who, wants to stand up for workers. You shouldn't call a worker that you've terminated sloppy and stupid. You shouldn't create a work environment where they're set up to fail if they make a mistake like that, where the expectation is they need to be producing content like that. And if, you get busted, you take no responsibility and fillet them. Like, no, I mean, if the Vanguard says something that's incorrect, it's on me and Gavin, because there's absolutely no one else that would put a content piece in our folder that one of us hasn't seen. Like, one of us is familiar with the content that we're talking about. If not both of us, I'd say it's about 50-50 whether both of us have seen it or not, but always one of us has gone through that shit. So I definitely agree with Kyle on that. What I do kind of disagree with Kyle on, and I want to make this clear because I think there's a little bit of an elephant in the room, because Vanguard always goes after lefties. I do think there's a big, like, you know, the duh factor is pretty real. It's like, why are you always talking about how we need Medicare for all? And, you know, why are you always talking about how we need a $25 minimum wage and all these socialist policies and making it clear that you're like a hardcore socialist? Like, I think if you're tuning into a socialist podcast that's critiquing the Democrats, it's pretty clear, even if you're a dense 14-year-old, that they're not fucking Republicans. And I do understand that some people, you know, could be misled if you were curating your content really specifically into like, you know, oh, Bernie Sanders was my favorite, but now I'm going with Donald Trump or Tulsi Gabbard or something like that. But I feel like for the most part, lefties that focus on, you know, critiquing the squad, critiquing the Democrats are right now just critiquing the party in power, right? We acknowledged Donald Trump massively when he was in power. Now he's not. So it's a little bit foolish to, you know, whine about the Republicans when the Democrats have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So I did want to, I don't know. I think that there's a lot to be said about his framing there. And
anyway, that being said, let's take a look at the way Cenk Uygur responded to this, because if you guys remember, maybe a few months ago now, there was this whole drama going down between the Young Turks and Jimmy Dore. Of course, Jimmy Dore used to work for TYT. He used to be on the Young Turks, had his show, and was sometimes on the panel. But he left TYT eventually, you know, due to numerous reasons. His own show was kind of taking off, and he had a lot of disagreements with the way that the commentary was headed at TYT. Specifically, I think he was really bugged with their reporting on Russiagate. And I also was very bugged by their reporting on Russiagate. I remember watching at the time, and Cenk was hyping up this story every single night. He was like the mini Rachel Maddow when it came to Russiagate. I promise you guys, he was like, you know, convincing all of his viewers on a nightly basis that this shit was going to take Trump down, and that Bob Mueller was going to, you know, pull out the, you know, silver bullet and shoot Trump in the heart and all this stupid bullshit, right?
Lost the debate to Aaron Mate on air.
Yeah, exactly. He debated Aaron on air about that shit. Anyway, it was totally embarrassing, and obviously just a desperate attempt to increase TYT's ratings, despite the fact that this story was, you know, pretty obviously bullshit. Even people like us could tell. Anyway, you know, I understand why Jimmy Dore left TYT 100%. And for a while they were pretty amicable, but eventually Jimmy Dore decided to start making content calling out TYT, just like he would, you know, any other channel or outlet that he criticizes. And, you know, obviously there was a variety of criticisms and a variety of the validity to those criticisms. For the most part, though, I thought Jimmy Dore was pretty much on point every single time when he called out TYT, going after them, for example, for pretending to be independent media while still cozying up to and taking, you know, big investment money from the likes of God, what's that guy's name?
Katzenberg.
Yeah, Jeffrey Katzenberg.
$20
million, yeah, and Republican donors as well. So yeah, lots of very legitimate reasons to call out TYT, in my opinion, at least. You know, he was doing good work exposing them in that regard. And obviously it added another, you know, juicy element to the drama, the fact that he used to work with TYT, that he used to be friends with Cenk Uygur, etc. You know, that definitely made the whole thing a little bit, you know, it definitely made it entertaining for me, but also I think for some people it was kind of hard to watch, because again, they remembered the good old days of Jimmy and Cenk shooting the shit on the TYT panel and getting along and, you know, pretending to be together in this movement and all that stuff. So, you know, very ugly breakup anyway. Since then, you know, after Jimmy Dore continued to make this content going after TYT and calling them out as much as he could whenever they slipped up, whenever they fucked up, Anna messaged Jimmy Dore and basically said, hey, remember that joke you made back, you know, I don't know, 5-10 years ago where you said I had a nice news skirt when she bent over and apparently revealed her ass to the panel in the newsroom. So Jimmy Dore made that, I guess, inappropriate joke, whatever you want to call it. Anna Kasparian basically messaged him on Twitter and said, hey, if you don't shut the fuck up about TYT and all the shit we're doing wrong, then I'm going to leak this against you and frame it as sexual harassment. But yeah, basically she came out there and said that Jimmy Dore called it blackmail. And then there was this huge drama. You know, you guys probably remember, if you followed the Vanguard at the time, it, you know, took up like a month. We talked about it for, you know, days after days, because it just wouldn't stop. Anyway, finally, this shit is getting aired out a little bit more on Twitter, as you can see here, because of this clip on Vaush. Kyle Kulinski essentially saying that, you know, yeah, Jimmy Dore's a liar. I'm glad I'm not involved with the guy anymore. I'm glad I'm not friends with him anymore, given the direction his content has gone in. Cenk weighs in here. Again, Kyle Kulinski left the TYT network because of all this drama and because of the statement he put out. Both Jimmy and Cenk were apparently furious behind the scenes. But this is the first time, at least that I've seen, that Cenk has really addressed it in public. He says, Kyle also just figured out there's no Santa Claus. I don't know. I didn't know he was this dense and that it would take him years to figure out the obvious. I'm waiting for everyone who equated this low-life grifter Dore to us and equivocated about who was right to offer their apologies. So this is just coming out fucking swinging, man. Like Cenk Uygur sees this clip and he's just like, it's like he's just been waiting for this opportunity to just smack one down on Kyle Kulinski for what he sees as like a betrayal to his network, for not defending himself and Anna enough, and for kind of offering what Kyle describes as like a nuanced take on the subject, where he was like, Jimmy's right here, but Cenk and Anna are right here. I don't think that this was necessarily sexual harassment, but I also think that Jimmy Dore was kind of a dick when he talked about it. So, he did that whole like both sides thing. And I sympathize that because we also kind of did that. We also said, this person's right here, this person's wrong here. This is a nuanced situation. It's hard to just have a definitive, fuck TYT or fuck Jimmy Dore take on this. It's a little bit more complicated than that, at least in my opinion. But yeah, Cenk Uygur, total scorched earth here, going after Kyle Kulinski. But this isn't even the worst. Someone says, why so mean to Kyle? Which I think is a reasonable question. And Cenk responds, the dumbass apologized to Jimmy in the middle of the original controversy because Jimmy didn't feel like Kyle had sufficiently kissed his ass. Kyle was so wrong. He thought we were the bad guys. Inexcusable. And we never got an apology once he pulled his head out of his ass.
Translation, I want Kyle to kiss my ass more, just like I'm making fun of him for he is literally doing the same fucking thing right now. And I actually, from what I remember, maybe that joke from Jimmy was inappropriate, but as far as I'm concerned, I definitely remember being a lot more TYT is the one that's doing journalistic malpractice and trying to cover their ass with this workplace violation that Cenk himself has clearly been guilty of repeatedly over his own history. If you want to fucking play that game, right, since they launched the channel in 2006, how many times has he said horrible shit? Gavin made the point he literally had to get removed from Justice Democrats because of all the blatantly misogynistic shit that was way worse than Nice News Skirt. I promise you can look it up for yourself. It's still all over the internet. If you look up Cenk Uygur misogynistic quotes, have at it. It's really embarrassing, right? And again, it's kind of like pot calling the kettle black. Look up Kyle Kulinski racist quotes from the past. You will find a bunch of shit, man. And like Kyle wasn't intending to be coming across that way. I don't think that Jimmy Dore was intending to prey upon Anna, but to be all up in arms in this. And you could say that Jimmy didn't feel apologetic enough and that Kyle feels really apologetic for those things now. Okay, sure. But we're also needing to weigh the severity of the fucking infractions here. So I just think it all comes off as really fussy and hypocritical from all of these people. They won't let this die at all. And it just continues to represent basically the downright destruction, the de-evolution of TYT. Cenk Uygur can't even get along with a guy like Kyle Kulinski, who is probably his closest ally in any kind of actual independent media, right? And for people who are curious as to why we comment on this, do you think that people like Kyle Kulinski and, the likes of those old time new independent streamers would be commenting about it if Rachel Maddow and Andrew Cuomo or Chris Cuomo were out fucking dunking on each other, going crazy on their shows, talking about each other, going after each other on Twitter? Well, guess what, guys? New media is the only media for young people. Anybody that's under the age of 28 doesn't give a fuck about cable news.
Because again, if I was, if this was my friend and I was embroiled in a drama, as Zach and I often have been here at the Vanguard, we're definitely not strangers to being embroiled in internet dramas and beefs, feuds with other commentators, etc. Never once, literally in a million years, would I expect one of our friends of the show to get involved, to put out a take, and even if they did put out a take and release a video on the subject matter, I probably wouldn't even fucking watch it, to be honest. But even if I did, and they didn't happen to side with me, you think I'd be pissed at them? No, I don't give a shit. You have every right to, have whatever opinion about me or Zach or our show, just like how we spend our time, yapping our mouths about our opinions on other people. I think everyone's entitled to have an opinion about us too. So, I would never, sever a friendship or call someone who I consider to be a friend a dumbass on Twitter, because they didn't, side with me. And that's really what I think this is. It's just crazy to me that, again, Cenk Uygur founded Justice Democrats with Kyle Kulinski. It's not like they were just, casual, colleagues or whatever. No, these people were real friends. They considered themselves, together as part of this movement, fighting for justice, etc. Again, they founded Justice Democrats together. Huge deal. Kyle Kulinski was part of the TYT network. And again, Jimmy's fan base, if you guys remember, I remember, Jimmy's fan base got furious at Kyle Kulinski because, in their opinion, they didn't think he came out in favor of Jimmy Dore enough. People on the like pro Jimmy side, the doorknobs, if you will, they were like, fuck this. Kyle Kulinski is giving this mealy mouth take. He's not defending Jimmy Dore enough against what's obviously just this kind of like witch hunt and like fake Me Too situation. He needs to come out and be more unequivocal of this. And but that's not enough for Cenk. Even though the fact that Jimmy Dore and his entire audience wasn't satisfied with what Kyle said, in Cenk's opinion, it was still too pro Jimmy Dore for him. So much so that he has to come out here, call Kyle a dumbass, say that Jimmy didn't feel like Kyle had sufficiently kissed his ass and all this stuff. Kyle was so wrong. Again, I don't think Kyle was 100% correct on everything he said, but I do think that he at least tried to give a genuine expression of his opinion. Again, even if I don't agree with everything, I'm not going to fault the guy for coming out there and saying what he felt. Again, that's his job. That's why people listen to him, to give his opinion, to hear his take on something. So, yeah, it might not have been the absolute most artful response to the situation. But that being said, I can't really doubt Kyle Kulinski because he clearly, was conflicted about this. He clearly felt several different ways, and being close friends with everyone involved. Yeah, what are you going to do? You gotta try to make the best of the situation and just say how you actually feel. Be honest. And he was not really received well when he did that, not by either side. So not gonna lie, I do feel a little bit of sympathy for Kyle, just taking it from every angle here. His old buddies over at TYT hate his fucking guts. Clearly, I thought Kyle was being a little bit hyperbolic when he talked about how Cenk blew up on him behind the scenes, but now I don't doubt it at all. I'm sure that he got totally just harangued by Cenk Uygur and also Jimmy Dore over this. Two people that, regardless how much you love them or hate them, can't deny they both have very big egos, can't deny they're both very big personalities that like to, be right about things. So yeah, it's definitely a pretty fucked situation in that regard.
Yeah, but as Kyle, I think he even said in this stream, he's like, yeah, I'm a grown man. Like, I could take it. Like, and that's like just the only way you have to approach this industry. You can't fucking please anybody. You just got to go up and say your piece and then get the fuck out of there. And, your real friends will ride with you anyway. But yeah, this is just pathetic, man. And it lets you know the kind of massive egos that rise to the top and then eventually just fucking sink to the bottom. And that.
But yeah, I just thought it was totally petty to lash out like this at Kyle Kulinski, who's out there doing what he wants him to be doing, which is at this point criticizing Jimmy Dore. Like, isn't that what you want, Kyle Kulinski to be doing? Is going out here and attacking your, enemy number one or whatever. But no, instead of doing that, Cenk's out here just totally melting down.
And just to wrap this up, I do have to say that it is so strange to me that given like how, Kyle has talked about like, his friendships with these people and all that stuff, like the elephant in the room is that he's cozying up to Vaush, who just said fucking vile, horrible things about Crystal Ball, who is his co-host. And it's like, hey man, like we're just saying here, we don't expect anybody to white knight for us. But if somebody had said the shit about Crystal or said this shit about Gavin that Vaush was saying, like we would not be friends. We would not be cool with each other. Like I would come after him and be like, why the fuck did you say this? You have to answer for this shit. No, that's not what you said. This bullshit mealy mouth like excuse that you're giving in front of this person so you don't have to be embarrassed. Like I want to read your fucking quotes to you and take you to task. The fact that he's like now decided that, okay, like he does like this like, oh, don't attack my friends, or I'm staying away from people who do that, or people who get vicious and personal. Vaush got vicious and personal as fuck about Crystal Ball when he was jealous as shit that Rising was doing massively more numbers than his channel right off the bat, and the fact that Breaking Points is extremely successful, all those kinds of things. I don't know. I just why would you go and after all of this, I want to stay away from all the drama, I'm going to go to the guy who, let's be fair, has said his fair share of negative things about Kyle Kulinski, I'm sure. But I know for a fact just dragged the shit out of Crystal through the mud on his podcast multiple times before he put on a smiling face and pretended he only had disagreements with Sagar when he got interviewed on Crystal, Kyle, and Friends. So I think it's a perplexing move to go on and go and speak with Vaush about your fucking past, like shit and drama when you're trying to avoid new drama if that's your thing. I don't know. I think that's all really confusing too, but that's just more of an aside note. Like
this is an example. I think this is the right clip of what Vaush said about Kyle Kulinski before he went on. I think this is the right clip. If not, I'll turn it off. But
the way that he talks about, like, well, his bad strategy post Super Tuesday. Oh yeah, dude, like your fucking political strategy is on point. You literal simpering fucking 60 IQ brain dead troglodyte fucking populist who has no idea how the political system works and whose entire fucking political operandi is based out of spite and anger and frustration and nothing else. Holy fucking shit. I hate this guy. I fucking hate Kyle Kulinski so much. He's such a horrible, dishonest fucking actor. It's insane. I can't believe people like him.
So, yeah, that was definitely the right clip. Needless to say, yeah, that's what Vaush said about Kyle Kulinski. So yeah, I totally agree, Zach. For Kyle to be like, oh, you know, my feelings were hurt and I didn't want to get involved in this drama, but then to seek out and talk, you know, share conversation with that guy who not only trashed you, but your co-host Crystal Ball smeared her. You know, all this stuff, totally outrageous.